And a very warm welcome to you all, wherever you are, to Lockdown SK, the interaction, self-isolation talk show, broadcasting to you as usual from our micro streaming studios here on the beautiful island of Corfu in sunny Greece. And should there be an interruption to this transmission broadcast today, please log on to our website at www.studiokerkyra.com or the video platform that is vimeo.com, or else YouTube, or indeed Twitter's Periscope, whereupon you will see superb quality videos in HD from StudioKerkyra. And to bring you this digital broadcast across the internet to you today, I'm very pleased that I have the help and assistance of our producer, Claire Haas, who will be endeavouring to reply to all your comments on Facebook Live Messenger, take those elusive calls from Skype, and of course, no show would be complete without the irrepressible Mr. Thomas Haas. Hello, Thomas, how are you?
You're informed today, aren't you?
Well, you know, it is Wednesday.
Yeah, I know, it's Wednesday already. Unbelievable.
It is indeed, isn't it?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in again here to Lockdown SK episode 42.
Good
so
Lord.
we're getting on with the lockdown, isn't it? I mean,
Yes.
we knew we're gonna be in there for quite a while, but I don't think we expect
40
the
days and
time
40
or
nights
what.
plus?
I
No,
know.
maybe not.
So thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in again. Listening to us here. And I'm getting already messages in. So thank you guys for logging on. And hello from beautiful Corfu. Lauren Smith is writing in, hi from a cloudy, windy Pompey. Keep
Ooh.
smiling, folks.
Thank you,
definitely.
Lorraine.
That's
We will. That's
good.
what we say here at the studio. Always keep smiling. Absolutely best way. Saves less of those face muscles. It's easier to smile than it is to frown. So they tell me.
Yeah, definitely. And hi from a wet and windy Romney Marsh. We have got the Scrabble out. Looking forward to hearing your cheerful voices.
Well, that's very kind of you to say that. I hope you're not relying on us to give you those winning words, because neither of us here at StudioKerkyra, I'm sure Claire is different to that, are only good at spelling. So I don't think we can help you much with Scrabble. But you never know. We might give it a go. Good luck, by the way. May the best player win.
Yeah, definitely. And here is Nikos Louveros. Hi, thank you for logging on, Nikos. Hello from cold and cloudy London. It's not that
Oh.
cloudy. And okay, we got clouds here, but it's still
A few, but it's still
got
blue
a
sky.
little fresh
Yes.
blue sky. But
And
yeah.
it was 19, I think, earlier on today. So it's another beautiful day here in paradise, which, of course, as you know by now, is Corfu. Yes, it's always a warm welcome to all our wonderful viewers, particularly those that take the time and trouble to contact us, because that's what we're all about, this digital platform going across the internet, connecting you to your loved ones here on the island and vice versa, and also an exchange of ideas and experiences. This show, Lockdown SK, is all about collaboration, and that's the nub of it, to be honest with you, isn't it, Thomas?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just looking. It's great. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. So if you have something to say or you want to comment on something we say, don't hesitate. Comment here live now, and we're going to read that out. But we have a packed show again. But here, quick one. Vivian. Hi, Claire, Adrian, Thomas. Hope you're all well. Thanks, Vivian from Ireland. Yeah, so far, so good.
Vivian, we love hearing from you. You always make us chuckle. And here we go. I got the first apology of the day. We didn't actually quite get the subtlety of your joke from a few
It's
days
another
ago.
coffee, mate.
It was another coffee. Yes, good idea, Thomas. I would indeed. Thank you very much, Steve.
Coffee kitty is filling up, mate.
Yeah, well, it does indeed. Yes, the coffee urn's a bit empty. Almost, anyway. No, Vivian, you made us laugh when your husband was trying on an article of your clothing as a make-do mask. We missed the punchline, and that was the right tit. We did laugh, Vivian. I'm terribly sorry. I do apologise to any grannies watching. No offence meant to be caused at all.
No, dear, Melita is watching and commenting. Hi, Melita, saying, nice to see you. Baby boy Boris, congratulations and well done for deciding to delay permanently paternity leave.
Paternity.
First things first.
Yes,
no?
congratulations to the happy couple. It's very good news to have a baby. Fancy a baby being born right in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. But hats off to all those that helped with the birth, and may we wish them all from StudioKerkyra long and happy lives. And hello, Melita. Lovely to hear from you, by the way. And as it is from everybody, Cathy Duckworth, she drew our attention to a BBC Panorama programme.
Yes, funny. I just had here. I just read that if we got the email, well, we
sweet.
had problems with the emails, but we got that. Yes, exactly.
We did,
No.
yes. We didn't actually see the programme, Cathy, but we are aware of it. I was made aware of it by a very angry Piers Morgan, who was shredding someone. a government minister who he got on, I think called Wendy Atkins. She had it from him all early on in the morning. It was all about PPE, personal protective equipment, and they were the gist of the program was that the hand gloves, for instance, Thomas, were being counted singularly, let alone all the failed equipment within that.
Well,
basically, the program, which I think was possibly put together by John Sweeney, a very well-known journalist. He has since complained on Twitter. I read his tweet the other day that the BBC management didn't take the investigation seriously enough, and it should be much more front-page news. I mean, it's negative, and we've been talking about the lack of PPE here on Lockdown SK throughout the whole 41 episodes. It's not all the government's fault. We must make that very plain. They have been let down by suppliers from China, black market supplies, and Turkey as well, and other countries. But then, as we've also equally heard, they should have had sufficient stocks in place to begin with, which they did not. So they're bound to be some big full-blown public inquiry at the end of it. I don't quite understand why the government fielded to answer an angry Piers Morgan's questions about it. It seems to me that on ITV they failed to get, for whatever reason, the appropriate government minister, because Piers Morgan is always sounding off against some government minister about the NHS or PPE, and none of these people are directly responsible or involved with the medical health services. So maybe it's the government fielding the wrong people, maybe the wrong people are turning up to ITV studios. I really can't answer the question of that, but certainly the Panorama programme needs further investigation, and thank you for drawing to our attention, Kathy.
Definitely, and she's just asking here, tried to email you yesterday, he got replied it couldn't be delivered. I don't know, I got other emails in, so it seems to work. If anybody else had this problem, please let us know. But so far, Kathy, no, I think it's all right. Let me carry on. Say hello to Jay Nichols. He says, "Good afternoon, lads. Cloudy and showers today in Essex."
Oh, right. So, I got the name of that lady that Piers Morgan was shredding. It was Victoria Atkins, and apparently she's the Minister for Safeguarding. I've never heard such a position in
a Minister of Safeguarding.
What exactly is that? Because I honestly don't know. It's a new one to me. Maybe Nico usually knows these things in North London there. Maybe you could drop us a line, Nico, and tell us what Minister of Safeguarding actually does, because we'd love to know, as I'm sure would our viewers and listeners. Thomas, can I just tell you some other news that came to my attention just before we came on air, which is absolutely quite awful, really. It's from Spain, and it's from Cadiz. Did you know, Thomas, that the day before the children, I think it was Monday, children under 14 years of age were able to escape lockdown, providing they were accompanied by an adult and went no further than a kilometre from their house. They were allowed to perhaps walk on beaches and perhaps go in parks. However, the beach near Cadiz, some bright spark, decided he'd spray the beach with disinfectant to try to kill COVID-19.
Okay.
Yes, but what he's done, this was a protected nature reserve, and he's destroyed all the wildlife, animals and insects. It's a desolate, barren wasteland that was a beautiful area. It is unbelievable. It's almost extraordinary. Can you believe that this actually happened? But I have actually seen a photograph on Twitter with the man in a tractor spraying the said beach. I think that's absolutely appalling, and I'm mentioning it now because very shortly we're very lucky to be talking to someone who's absolutely passionate about the environment here on this island. Most people here on the island probably know her anyway, so she needs no introduction, but that's our friend Xenia Tombrou, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Xenia gonna be very, very shortly with us here live on lockdown, and we talk a little bit about the environment, the impact it had, the lockdown on the planet, plus what's going on behind the scenes, because we're all in lockdown now and we don't know what's going on. So, and certain things in the government, decisions are being made without really talking about them, and especially within building regulations and other and environmental issues. And that's why we log on here. So, and she also has a great thing to plug. That's a video, the story of plastic. And we're gonna show why she's holding a watch party on that one, so a screening on that one.
Oh, great.
And we're gonna talk in a couple of minutes more. But other things on the show is the lockdown restrictions. So we got all the dates, we got everything here now to let you know when what is happening, and that's we're gonna go in after the call.
Yes, and after that we've got some good news to end with, and also I'm going to present to you a conundrum. But that's all after Zen. Yes, a conundrum, Thomas. It will raise a titter, as dear old Frankie Howard used to say. No offence you meant in the use of that word, by the way.
Yeah, and just before we do that now, I'm going on and say hello to Steve Bowers. He said, hi to you both. Lovely photos, Thomas, of you in Balio. You posted earlier. That is, I posted a couple of... Haven't you seen that?
No, Thomas, I was too busy preparing for the show to look at such things. I haven't. No, honestly,
you have to look afterwards.
I
so
will,
I'm not
yes,
telling... No, thanks, Steve.
Okay.
That's great.
Keep me in suspense.
Why shooting. I said I'm missing the shooting, the filming, the live streaming here on the island. And that's what I was talking. And I put a couple of pictures up when we had when we filmed the interview with Melita from lovely Balio. The views are amazing, and from other places around the island.
So yes, well, I look forward to seeing them in later. I was only joking. I don't wear suspenders. I mean suspense. It was just a joke, radio style. You know the one. It's Wednesday afternoon. Anyway, where we going to get that call from Xenia before I get myself into any more bother?
Before that, I want to say hello quickly to the Ionian Estates. These guys are here. Hopefully, we can talk soon with somebody of Ionian Estates. It would be interesting to see a little bit the impact from the tour operator from these guys. What is the impact? What does they think gonna happen, and how do they prepare, or how do they must have a lot of brainstorms going on and see what direction are we moving. But they also great sponsors of the literary festival here on Corfu, and we met them last year, and it was exciting. So a big hello to the Ionian Estate out here in Corfu.
Yes, and to Emma Harvey, I do believe. That's love from Nico and Annabelle, and maybe Alex Preston as well.
Alex Preston as well, yeah.
He was a nice chap, wasn't he?
Great. Yeah,
what a great conversation. Yes, it was, Thomas.
I'm getting a lot of messages in here. Guys, thank you so much for taking part, for sending messages in. We're gonna go because we're running a little bit with time, and Xenia is waiting on the other side. So
we can't keep a lady waiting.
Let's go and have quickly, and let's go, Xenia.
Great.
Hi, hello, Xenia. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, great. Hi, Xenia.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us here now live on lockdown. We had a couple talk. We introduced you, of course, proper to our viewers, and tell them what the whole thing gonna be about with you today. And we are happy to have you on the show. So we were talking about lockdown, we was talking about restrictions, and we are updating our viewers, but we said the environmental impact we want to see aside, and that's where you and me, we started talking yesterday, and that's what it is all about today. So Xenia, you had a couple of issues. You addressed me with that yesterday.
Yes. So yeah. Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me on the show. So yesterday I was talking to Thomas about a bill that the Greek government wants to pass. It is supposed to make investments, big hotels, big construction, mining, much more easier without, and this new bill removes all the protection that has been all these decades in place in Greece to try to protect the environment. So the points that they make on the campaign is that, because they have it in English, if you pass all the Greek text, you will get into the English text. It essentially eliminates the protection of the Natura 2000 sites, and it promotes mining and hydrocarbon, so oil rigs in nature conservation areas.
So that this is quite a vast area we're talking now. I mean, you're saying there's legislation. Is they passing them now as we speak, or are they discussing them, or is there no discussion going on at all?
So the parliament is closed. I'm not sure how they deliberate. The new bill has been sent to Parliament last Friday, and it will be voted on Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So yeah, right now more than 160 organizations for the protection of the environment and of the communities have signed against this bill. And 20 organizations have been following it for the past half year. and have given their reserves towards this bill many times. Until a month ago, you could send comments on part of this law, so 64, I think, out of the 140 parts that it has. And the government did not take into account any of the comments of all the organizations who had read the bill and said how bad this is going to be for the environment. Shall I read a little bit through the aspects that they were against, the environment protection agencies? And I have a little bit of good news.
They have. It concerns also an area here within, so on Corfu itself, you said something, protect Natura 2000.
Yes. So from all the kind of protection available, we have Natura 2000. It's Limni Andignoti in Aiospyridon in the north of Corfu. It is the Alikes Lefkimis in the south of Corfu. It's the salt lakes. It's a very beautiful area where all the flamingos are. It's the lake Korision, again, where all the flamingos like to go, and a lot of wild birds. And also Isos is now a protected area. Wow. So now no building is allowed, no asphalt roads are allowed, very specific kind of activities are allowed. So, for instance, you can have, depending on the level of protection, you can have agriculture, and you might be allowed to build in a very small area, but you're not allowed to put an all-inclusive hotel or to mine or to put oil rigs. And all this is going to be allowed if this bill passes.
So that's threatening now what was established through the Natura 2000. So that bill, what they passed, this is threatening that now again.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, you're campaigning for quite a while, no? And this problem seems to come back. It seems to be sorted, and then it comes back. Then again, you guys sorting it, and then it comes back. Man, I'm following that over the last 8 years on Corfu, and some of the projects just a forward and a backward, a forward and a backward. So without people like you constantly campaigning, that whole thing would have gone up in smoke probably already.
Yes. And I am a newcomer in this campaign. There are people that have been fighting to protect the environment here on Corfu for the past 30 and 40 years. And it's thanks to their efforts that the movement has grown, and that my generation is able to not just have a voice, but also be heard. And that's really important. And specifically on Corfu, there are a lot of areas that need to be protected. We have a lot of very special ecosystems, and we should not back down, and we should not allow the existing protection to leave, because what are we going to do with the places that still need to be protected? We will lose everything. And if we lose our beauty, if we lose our beautiful beaches, if we lose our beautiful mountain, what are we going to do? What are we actually going to have for ourselves, but also for our visitors?
Of course, definitely. But on the other side now, lockdown, this old, everything what happened now, the planet profited from that. I mean, as environmentalist, as activist, you must be somehow happy to see what's happened now, because it's all the pollution levels are dropping.
Yes, so, but that's but that's very, it's not something permanent. Behavioral change is not something that we're going to see. People really still want to fly to the destination. They still want to have fast tourism. They still want to have the chips in the supermarkets that came from wherever. We still want bananas. This kind of behavior is not going to change. And I took the car to go to the supermarket, and I think we all did. So our behavior didn't change. And
so is it maybe a chance for us now to change certain things and some ideas you guys, activists have for quite a long time, to implement them now? Say, okay, guys, that's something what you said before, it wasn't possible, but now maybe the people woke up and it's easier to push through.
we have been discussing with mainly young people, but also, of course, all ages, that because a lot of people will not be employed this year, we're going to have a very big issue of feeding ourselves, because the Corfu has lost its autonomy. We do not have enough self-cultivated food for the whole island. We have to import, even if it's from the mainland. And mainly the younger generation, but also the generation of my father, we studied abroad. We focused on a life of being with the computer in an office. Yeah. So we lost touch with the land. In the past 2 months, I've been foraging with my father and learning about the different edible plants that exist on Corfu. And just with half an hour walking around, we had a whole meal. And we didn't even cultivate it ourselves. So imagine the moment now, for the first time I've put in tomatoes from seeds and I'm seeing it growing. Maybe they will survive, maybe not. But it's this first step that a lot of people haven't been able to make to cultivate their own food because they didn't have time. Usually people would be working full-time, 1 or 2 jobs now in tourism for 700, 800 euro per month. And they would start in March until October. Yeah, and a lot of my friends were not even.
We have to all think now of ourselves and say, okay, we should use the opportunity, and then maybe being guided from people like you and others. You can do things different. And what brings me on, what we want to talk today is your screening of the story of plastic. We can make a start there.
Yeah, I do want to end a little bit where I started with the campaign to sign against the bill that the government is going to pass, because there was a little win. The Association of the Protection of the Environment of Corfu announced that the minister, due to the social pressure, has already withdrawn the excavations from the center of national parks. So they were allowed to excavate and mine inside protected areas. So they have removed that. And also they were going to allow private companies to do the environment licensing, which already kind of happens, but it's really also always controlled by the government. And now private companies would be allowed to give the license without enough control from the government. So they removed that from the bill. However, what has not been removed is that mining is still allowed in protected areas, but on the outside of the protected area. Hunting in wildlife sanctuaries is allowed. The protection area management bodies, so there's they're called FOSDA, and it's a group of people who are researchers, but also people who manage land. And they work together to see what's going to happen near a river or near so on Corfu, we are under FOSDA of Calama on the opposite side of it's a river on the mainland. So they're not here. They don't have an office on Corfu. And this means that a lot of research that has to happen about our wildlife is not happening. We're not getting financing. People are not hired to do the job. So, for instance, in Eremitis, when the local government, I think the prefecture, wanted to protect it, it wasn't able to be protected because there was no data. They didn't know what which is, that's stupid, right? So, instead, and what does the government now want to do? Instead of giving a management body to Corfu that they can manage the research and the finances for Corfu, they want to remove the one that already exists in the mainland. They're going to make it much smaller, the amount of organizations that are available. So it will be even harder for us to protect our own island and to make sure that we get the right management here. Also, disposal of mining waste will be allowed without licensing. We have a gold mine in Skouries near Thessaloniki. They took this beautiful forest, they took everything away, and they started just topsoil taking out the gold. And all the disposal of the chemicals needed to remove the gold are just put into water reserves and now is leaking into the environment.
Oh.
And the locals had been fighting about this for years, and they still are. So this bill will extend another 5 years the environmental licensing for Skouries, which really has to leave. This company is really making a huge distraction. Also, right now, there is a process of creating the new forest maps. So, like Corfu, everything is private, and unless it's land that the government has taken because of debt towards the government. Like a part of the Eremitis that's a public land, it used to be private. This is mainly because we were not under the Turks, so the whole island belongs to someone, and there's no forest. So everything can be built. The government was in the process of creating maps of what is forest and what is not forest.
Okay.
There are some maps from 1984 based on what the Venetians or in the past has happened, but it needs to be updated. Places that are not used for agriculture, places that are not used as a village, should remain as a forest for the next generation. This new bill wants to stop this process, wants to keep it as is, so that everything is able to be built. This government is doing everything to assist money-making use of the money of the land. They want hotels.
More capital interests there than environmental interests. That's the concern. Yeah. I mean, let's go on with the plastic thing, the story of plastic. That's a great story. We spoke yesterday about that, and that's a film. You said it's 90 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's you're gonna have a streaming on, the streaming of it on Saturday.
So this is a bit confusing. We have a link, and anybody can watch it at home anytime they want until Saturday night.
Okay.
So you can watch it tonight, you can watch it now, you can watch it tomorrow, but midnight on Saturday, the link will not be, you cannot use it anymore. I've been given the ability to share this documentary with the community. And also, we are organizing a Zoom call on Saturday evening at 7 for everybody who wants to discuss what they saw and how we can make this actionable, what we learned from the documentary. I watched the documentary yesterday. It's the story of plastic from extraction, oil extraction, when they make it into nurdles, when they market the plastic products, and what happens when it ends up either in the landfill, in the incineration, or in recycling. It's not the most upbeat documentary I can share with people right now, because the destruction is beyond our imagination, I think.
So it's extreme. No, I got the trailer here, and I also got your page open. So after our phone call, I'm gonna show the people the trailer, and I'm gonna show them online by your link where they can go to and submit that, so they can watch this film. I looked yesterday a little bit on this. It's great. So I think it fits perfectly in.
Did you say that the beautiful Lake Corricion, the salt plans of Lefkimi and Isos Beach could be developed, or are they still protected?
If the bill passes, they will be allowed to be used for anything the government wants.
So, in other words, they're not protected?
No.
Right. Well, that's absolutely terrible, and I personally will have to look into this. And the other question quickly to ask you is, what was the meal that you managed to cook with your foraged lovely vegetables and whatnot? What did you actually make at the end of the day?
My father or my mother, usually they just cook it with some potatoes, and if you forage different kind of greens, You will have some bitter ones, you will have some mild ones, and you'll have some tasty ones. And the texture is nice when you have like 3 or more types.
Okay,
and yeah.
And was this magic horta and amongst them? Do you know? Everyone keeps going on about horta.
Yeah.
Everything is called horta here.
That explains that then, because I'm forever hearing it. I thought it was a special herb that could only be found halfway up a mountain, preferably by a goat or something. Oh, okay. Well, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed your free forest meal. How wonderful. But thank you for sharing us the very important information about Monday's vote, Xenia. May we wish you here at StudioKerkyra all the best of luck. You do a wonderful job to protect our precious environment. We've only got one after all. When it's gone forever. And I'm actually quite horrified to hear what you've been saying, Xenia. It's absolutely a bit of an eye-opener for me.
Scary. It's really scary. And if you see the documentary, it's the same thing. Like, these huge companies, they have so much power, and we have to stay alert and we have to stay fighting. There's one thing I want to add to finish, because some people will see the documentary and some people will get very discouraged with the new bill that's going to be voted. There's only, and this is something a volunteer said this morning in the discussion, there's only one way to eat an elephant, and that is one bite at a time.
Yeah,
very true.
That's a good one.
Analogy.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely. Oh, Xenia,
so don't stop biting.
Yeah.
No, we don't bite any elephants here at StudioKerkyra. Elephants are the most amazing creatures, aren't they? Do you know they have their own alphabet, would you believe? So people say. They reckon about 32 distinct sounds and words they have in their vocabulary, which is incredible. And it's true what they say. An elephant never forgets, you know. They've got a better memory than we have here, that's for sure.
Xenia,
have a lovely show.
Thank you so much. Brilliant. No, thank you for taking part. Thank you for talking with us. And maybe we can arrange in the future a little bit of an update and see what's going on.
Whenever you like. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Xenia. You're wonderful.
Later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
What a fabulous lady, Thomas. And we know from our own efforts here, she's done so much good. We did a beach clear up with Let's Do It for Corfu, with other people, of course, Ian, and I can't remember the nice lady's name. But anyway, yes, Xenia is passionate about the environment. And to me, Thomas, what she was saying in the beginning part of that conversation was absolutely horrific.
I know, it's shocking, and she approached me yesterday and she said, "Mark, can we talk about that?" And I said, yes, of course we can. You know, it's lockdown, but it doesn't mean we have to stop thinking about environmental cases and things where our project would need help and support. That's what we're here for. When she told me that, I was saying, okay, it's shocking because nobody's talking about it. Parliament is closed, they can't discuss. So how can they make a decision? Is this really all just financially motivated?
It does sound that way, and I had no idea that Greece had its own gold mine. Did you?
No.
Thessaloniki forest. And the point about these forests is once they've cut down, that's it. And some of these trees, you know, take tens of decades to grow, the deciduous particularly, and they host such a variety of flora and fauna, animals and plants. I mean, we can't afford to lose them. And this island is so beautiful. Here, Thomas, just a thought, it will no longer be correctly called the Green Isle, will it? It'll be called the Slurry Isle, with all that nasty mining waste. And we know what happens there. Remember that terrible tragedy of Aberfan, for instance, in Wales.
Well,
dreadful tragedy. We don't want that happening here or any of it. So I think we're going to have to keep a firm, eagle eye on this one, Thomas.
Definitely. And here, something fitting. Chris Benson is writing in, "Good evening from me and all the Kalami cats. Please don't forget all the stray dogs and cats. They need us locals more now until the tourists eventually arrive." And this is true, because when the tourists are here, then it eases, because tourists intend to feed the stray cats and that, you know that. But when they are gone, it always falls down to people like Kalami Cats and other organizations on the island to cope with that. And that's a little bit, you know, it can get stressful.
Very. They do great. So do Agni Dog and Rescue, Animal Rescue, and of course the Ark nearby us here in Halicunas. But there are so many good animal welfare charities, and Kalami Cats is definitely one of those. And thanks, Chris, for writing in. It's always good to hear from you. Cheers.
Yeah, and here I got so many messages. Thank you guys for commenting and messaging in. Sorry if I can't read everybody out. I put this in next day's show. But Lavinia said, "I love Xenia Tombrou. I remember Sanspiridon in 1970s and in the Bears. No resemblance today. Oops, and this disappears again. So it's you know.
I said before, lots of people here on the island know of Xenia. She's made a big splash on all sorts of social media accounts, not just Facebook, but Instagram as well, and no doubt Twitter. Check her out, Xenia Tombrou. She really is the real McCoy when it comes to environmental activism. In the best possible way, of course.
And let me put that up quickly here. That's her Facebook page, is Garbage Art. So at Garbage Art Corfu. So it's Garbage Art Corfu. Here you see the story of plastic, and that's what she means. That's the screening. Here's the link on there, and she's gonna post that here by the comments now too, and everybody interested in it can go in, fill the form in, and she gives you the password to watch it. But this is the story of plastic. So again, this is Garbage Art Corfu.
Great.
So that's it. And there were also, I said something about a video, I think it's time to show that now, and that's the trailer for the video. So just in case you interested in it, and let's see if I can make that work.
I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Just wave your magic
wand. We're back with an alarming new report that came out this past week on the state of the world's oceans.
32% of plastic packaging ends up littering the environment. 40% is sitting in a landfill somewhere. 14% is incinerated. 14% is recycled, but only 2% is effectively recycled.
Downhill from the prison, downhill from the mall, downhill from the factory farm and the hospital.
It's not reasonable at all that we continue to live like this.
Downhill from the border wall, downhill from everywhere, downhill from all you see. The ocean's downhill from gravity.
About 8 million metric tons go into the ocean every year. That's the equivalent of one city garbage truck dumping a load of plastic into the ocean every minute of every day.
This is the story of plastics. It is fossil fuels finding a new form and finding a new place to flow through the economy.
The surge of attention to plastic pollution is pretty striking.
Think of the ocean as yours. Do you think about it at all?
I believe we're at a tipping point right now. I've seen more policy change globally in the last 8 months than I've seen in 20 years of my career. Because not only are governments getting pissed off, but companies are recognizing they can't get away with it anymore.
I don't think they can keep on tricking people forever.
So now we're back. Forgot to switch the mic on. No, I mean, unbelievable the amount of waste. I know, yes, you just said.
I just said the most amount of rubbish I've ever seen in a short video. Extraordinary. Around the world, I know lots of people make a living out of these enormous rubbish dumps, but it's the plastic, isn't it? The plastic in the oceans that's got up everybody's backs. And of course, the well-known British broadcaster David Attenborough did an awful lot to highlight the world's attention to plastic in oceans. It's not just Greta Thunberg. All have played their part to make us all aware of the fragility of planet Earth. I mean, we all know it's only one planet. I bet there aren't many planets like this in the universe.
And if you want to register for this, the story of plastic, that's where you get with the link. It's there in Greek and in English in both languages. And yes, you just fill in the form, select the language in here, and then submit it. And Xenia, I'm gonna send you a link to this show.
That's great. Well done, Xenia, for drawing that to our attention, and also the bill that's before the Greek Parliament, even though it's not sitting, on Monday. Going to have to look into more of that, I think. Quite shocking, Thomas, though. Particularly with nature reserves. I mean, nature reserves are the one area that you really do expect and need to be protected. Otherwise, you're going to lose the balance of life. All the life of insects are very important. Bees, we were talking about bees not so long ago. They're very worried about the lack of pollination. So if these beautiful natural environments are decimated and the bees have nothing to pollinate on, then that will have a direct effect on agricultural production.
Definitely,
also,
it has a knock-on effect. This whole thing has a knock-on effect.
It's
so
a
it's
very finely balanced system. And the other thing that surprised me, she did mention briefly the search for fossil fuels, which quite slightly surprises me in Greece. I know there are alleged deposits of oil in the Ionian Sea. I'm aware of that one. But Greece, the mainland Greece, has got so many solar panel farms, Thomas. And of course,
I know.
Greece is
Even
just
here on
wonderful
Corfu, they got a few of these solar
exactly.
panel farms. What
So
we saw.
that's an area surely for more
They started,
development.
yeah. Man, this is more about the law now, what's going on. But you know what? Let's follow up with the whole thing with Xenia. And we know we got some problems, but so until now, the new regime seems to fix them quickly. Quite quick and try to get into this thing, but we're gonna find more out on this coal,
yes. And of course, tidal power, anything to do with hydroelectric, water and electricity, the most efficient way of generating electricity. I know that they've been trying various countries around the world, coastal tidal efforts to generate electricity. It's very economic and very successful. So as Greece has over 2,000 islands, you'd have thought that they might have looked into that area a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely. But hey, here we go over now, and now let's talk about the lockdown, the ease of the lockdown restrictions we got. I mean, I got yesterday sent, thank you guys for sending that in, when it starts, and it says here 4th of May. No? First thing to be lifted is the obligation of holding a movement permits via SMS or handwritten paper. So 4th of July, that's gone. Allowed in exercising outdoors and at the sea. Swimming, organized beaches will be opened at a later point.
Okay.
Yeah? Opening of small shops, hairdressers, barber shops, beauty parlors, businesses, bookstores, sports stores, garden shops, optic shops. So 4th of May, plus churches, but only for individual prayer. Traffic restriction from one prefecture to another will remain in force. That's interesting.
Okay, yes.
So that's the 4th of May.
Right, yes. Okay, well, that's not long away, thank heavens.
No, that's not long away. Then the 11th of May is then the students returning for the students and education. This is set on Wednesday, on the 29th of April. So today, the Education Minister, Nick Keramanos, will make a statement. And 11th of May is also remaining business activities. So May 17th is churches open to the public. The faithful are allowed to attend religious services under strict rules. Full operation of public transport means. So that's the 17th of May. And 18th follows quickly with traffic restriction within the country will be lifted all together. That is movement from one prefecture to another and away from the area of residence permitted will be lifted. So you can move further. Most possible traveling to islands will remain only for residents. So for the islands, they still keep that all the way still on the 18th. No? And then 1st of June, shopping malls and department stores, cafe, bars, restaurants will be allowed to have customers in outdoor spaces. And hotels of what operate 12 months are being allowed to open up. So that's all on the 1st of June.
Okay, well, there's bit of light at the end of that tunnel, isn't there?
Yeah, so they say beginning of June is entertainment and sport venues, cinemas, theaters, entertainment centers, gyms, etc. Restoration of domestic flights. So slowly they're going in, and this should be until the mid of June, so the 15th.
Oh, okay.
And then from 15th on, hotels are usually open all year. They can open also seasonal tourist accommodation, but there's a lot of restrictions already coming out with that one.
Right, yes.
So there's a lot, you have to keep distance. You have to wear the face masks in closed places. And there's NMRC has a new article on there. If you go on Corfu NMRC, you can see this on there, and I'm going to call it up in a minute then do.
Right, yes. This is the same Greek tourism minister who suggested that there's going to have to be specific new rules to do with travel right across the board. He was talking about we have to have new rules for hotels, pools, breakfast buffets, would you believe, and tour buses. But this is also, Thomas, the same guy, I don't know whether you caught it, that suggested that maybe this season, 2020, Greece wouldn't be having many international flights, and he was suggesting that the holidays will be either from people on the mainland coming here or Eastern Europe or Central Europe, by road rather than aeroplane.
Yeah, but
that's what
he says here, end of June, no, restoration of international flights, restart of Super League, and beginning of July, opening of seasonal tourist accommodation. It is noticed as the labor I mean, when you go through now, they put some places, some things already in place on the other side. When I read them over on the NMRC, it's the distance they have to keep. It's not full capacity. So details emerging now.
Yes,
after that, that's the main statement they were giving, and now details to all these points start emerging all over the place slowly to refine that whole thing. But he's still given a warning with that and said that's just at the moment they're gonna monitor the situation very, very careful.
Exactly.
And if there's anything pointing at does the virus is spreading, they're gonna shut that down again. So that's the ideal case scenario we got here.
Yes, from July. It is the ideal case, and things, as Thomas has just said, it's a very fluid situation. Any sign of a second wave or increased infections, they certainly will adjust those lockdown measures. Just to give you an idea how important tourism is to Greece, in 2019, Greece received 33 million international visits, would you believe? And it was worth over 18 billion euros to the Greek economy, which is 20% of Greek GDP. And here's the important figure, though, Thomas. Tourism within the whole of Greece employs 1 in 5 people. So a country that has got a problem with unemployment and with coronavirus pandemic, that problem will probably get worse.
Before the lockdown.
Yes, it's before.
Already,
yes,
now
yes. 1 in 5 people, and 18 plus billion euros worth to the GDP. Yeah. So it's a serious issue here for Greece tourism, as indeed for many other countries. Thailand, don't forget, suffered its complete decimation of tourism at the very early days in March.
Yeah, here I got some updates. Retail businesses, open bookstore, operation sports thing. This is 4th of May, but the use of mask is compulsory for staff and customers. Yeah. Business will open at 10 a.m. In some cases, opening hours might be extended. So in shops up to 20 square meters, 4 people are allowed. For those over 100 square meters, up to 12 people, plus 1 person for every 15 square meters. From supermarkets, the regulation state 2 meters between 2 people and no queues of over 5 people. Open air markets will continue to operate with only 50% capacity. Yeah. So 11th of May, remaining retail businesses will open. Also, they have to provide disposable gloves, antiseptics, masks for instructors and all the schools, So there's a lot coming out now, man.
Yes, and it's all phased. I mean, it's all totally phased, and things can change in an instant. As we keep saying, the minute there's a whiff of a return of COVID-19 in any sufficient number, they will adjust.
Here, driving schools opening using disposable gloves, antiseptic and mask for instructor and pupil. So opening from zoos is on to the 18th of March. Gardens, archaeological sites and betting shops without seated customers. 1st of June, department stores and shopping malls. No more than 1 customer per 20 square meter. So above regulation. So there's quite a lot going on. Yeah.
Yes, it is, but that's a little bit difficult to regulate, isn't it? 20 square meters. I mean, we're used to the broom being 2 meters.
2 meters, yeah.
Social distance. Get back.
It's all,
trying to visualize 20 square meters in your head is a little bit tricky.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I can't.
Definitely
I have to say.
A tricky one.
And I wasn't very good at maths. I wonder how Priti Patel would get on with that one.
Yeah, it's that's gonna be it's gonna matter thing. No, I'm going. Oh, boom, boom, boom. There's messages coming in, but no, this is the restrictions at the moment, guys. That's how we get them in. There is nothing I can put on top or anything. So and more is coming as we speak, and this will filter. But it's on the 4th of May now. That's great. We don't need to send an SMS or have the paper with us when we wanna move, but we're not moved. We probably, and that's what I try to find out, are we allowed to move from here up north for a trip, for filming? Or is this still out of thing? Or is this, north? People who live in North Corfu only allowed in north part, people central Corfu just central and south just south. So what is it? Can we move on the whole island? Maybe one of you got this answer for you. That for us, that would be great. Yeah.
Yes, it would. Yes. The other thing is, Thomas, did you catch? I think it was yesterday on Facebook, a post from some Greek ministry or other that they were going to reschedule traditional May Day bank holiday, Labour Day here. It's a big thing in Greece, as it is in many countries around the world, on the 1st of May. They're going to reschedule it for a week later. Did you catch that?
No, I haven't catched it. That would
Yes.
be great. A week later, May Day, because
yesterday.
we missed so much
Exactly.
already. So just to postpone a couple of things, celebrations of May Day, yes. I mean, it's very important. But yes, but there still is, again, what is coming into effect? How many people are allowed to gather there? I heard not more than 10.
That's what I keep hearing. 10.
So you have to regulate that. You have to. So it's going to be an interesting challenge, you know.
You can say that again. You know,
but mandatory face masks.
Yes.
That's not mandatory. So when we go out, I think we have to start doing that. Special shops and then enclosed spaces. It's all from coffee shop to see pharmacy, everything. No?
We could do with a supply of fresh masks, couldn't we, Thomas, actually? If you've got any spare masks, anyone, please send them in to us. We don't really like the ones that we've got at the moment, to be honest. But yes, face masks will be a thing of the future, the present, I should say.
No,
but it's nice to know that they are starting to incrementally reduce lockdown restrictions. That's got to be a good one.
Definitely, yeah. And here, Paul Dew is writing in Double Press in the UK, say tourism season would finish end of September in Greece. Never read this in Greek government press release. No, we neither, but they say international flights resuming from July.
Well, maybe, but as I
so how can the Greek government say, is this from Greek internationally or yeah, that's confusing to me.
Yes, I'll just repeat again what the Greek tourism minister said in an extensive interview to the Guardian newspaper about 3 days ago, where he said he didn't envisage international flights arriving in Greece this year, 2020. That's what he said, and it was tourism in Greece was going to be more Central Europe centred and Eastern Europe, and of course domestic tourism. The idea being to have this staycation, this notion of staying at home for 2020. I think the real reason is they're really worried about the unpredictability of a second wave. I think that's
where they're mostly afraid. I mean, I heard from Germany out today as example where they say, okay, Greece, not this many cases. How many tests have they done to support that now? That their country is safe. So there's already between the two operators, there's reports from smaller journalists what have to do with holiday travel. There's a few out there getting skeptical about what's going on in Greece.
Well, you can't blame them for being skeptical because there just hasn't been the extensive testing that there needs to be to get any idea of an accurate picture of where we are in any country with COVID-19. As we keep reminding everybody, even if you show up that you haven't got it, doesn't mean to say you can't get it. Or indeed, if you've had COVID-19, it doesn't mean to say that your body builds up a resistance with your antibodies and your immune system, so you prevent getting it again. They are very concerned that you could indeed get it again. And I think that's what all this is about.
That's what they're saying about the second wave. So they have to now, that's now easing of restrictions only temporarily. You can say it's not that's gone and that's it. It's temporarily. As soon as they see, something changes within the data, they're gonna clamp down again. So it's really up to us now. How serious are we taking that? And if we adjust now, so they're letting us adjust now to what's gonna be a complete different life as we know it.
It is. We said that many times here on Lockdown SK, and I think there are many things and many ways that our everyday lives will change for many people all across the globe. But at the moment, we're still in this pandemic. I mean, maybe the worst of the figures have worked their way through the system, but we're not out of the woods by any means. I wouldn't like to say where we are in this whole equation just at the moment, but we must be vigilant and on our guard, especially for second and third waves. I mean, one little bit of encouraging news. They have, I believe, getting to grips in the United Kingdom with the care home issue. At last, figures are being correlated, and the full horror and extent of the nightmare that has been in the care system in the UK is now at long last being laid bare.
I mean, I got here from Cassie Duckworth the email. This is definitely worth a watch. Explain the lives of lots of NHS nurses, doctors, and care workers. in this lack of correct PPE in this pandemic. And
It's
there's
an ongoing
horror
thing.
story. Yeah, it's a horror story coming out everywhere.
Apparently, the British government was warned in 2014 of the need for sufficient stocks of PPE, warning them against this pandemic or a pandemic. I mean, you keep hearing government ministers saying, oh, we didn't know it was coming, we didn't know anything about it. Well, kind of they did. We saw the famous clip from Bill Gates at the tech conference in 2015. He with the pink jumper, he was warning about a very nasty pandemic. That was 2015. But apparently the report that the Panorama was focusing on arrived at the British government's desk in 2014, I do believe.
2014 already.
Exactly. And the same can be said in the United States as well. President Trump blamed Mr. Obama for depleting all the stocks after the Ebola crisis. But, you know, as we pointed out, Mr. Trump has had 4 years to build up those stocks again. And he was warned. Don't forget, the chairman of the Taiwanese Medical Board warned the world on the 31st of December 2019 about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
On the 31st of December, a national warning picked up by the World Health Organization. So they have had some notice.
So definitely.
To be fair.
Going on to tourism, we just get a message in from Vivian, and she said Richard Branson could do cheap flights now to get things going. You know,
well, Vivian, yes, he could, but then again, he's saying he can't. He's strapped for cash. He's gone to the British government, as we said the other day, for a 500 million loan. He's put his house and island in Necker Island on the line.
Yeah, but I thought he's putting it up for sale already.
No, he didn't say that. He was going to put it as collateral for a loan, of which he promised to pay back every penny to the British government. I should make the point here that Germany and France and the United States, to name 3 countries, have put in billions to prop up their indigenous airline industries. The UK has not, and British Airways is many shares are owned in Britain, part of International Airlines Group. Well, you know, the others, Iberia has had an injection, I do believe. I'm not sure about Aer Lingus. Maybe Vivian could tell us about Aer Lingus, but British Airways has laid off tens of thousands of people today.
12,000 people going to be made redundant.
It's in serious danger of going under. I mean, it really is, unless there is some immediate help. Maybe, as we've also said here on Lockdown SK, the whole picture of the whole international airline industry is definitely going to be very different after coronavirus pandemic.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
for sure.
But definitely on that one. Man, have another one here. It's but that's now fitting. Here's Steve Bowers is saying markets rising on virus drug hopes. The Telegraph reports and the FTSE is up nearly 3% today.
It is. It's extraordinary. Yes, it's over 6,000 mark, which is quite extraordinary. That's also part to do with the fact of rising price of oil. As you know, oil's been hovering around Brent crude price, dollars a barrel, have been hovering around 20. West Texas Intermediate went down to $11. This was the one that actually went to negative for a 24-hour period, but that was a statistical anomaly because of May contracts. We're now on June contracts, and it's as much about the demand. Supply and demand is the main thing that runs an economic market, and the price. But it's also about storage, and the main problem in the oil world is there's no storage. They're running out, and the cost of storage every day for a barrel of oil is prohibitive.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I think to answer the viewer's point there, I would say it's a temporary statistical blip. Don't get carried away with the stock market at 6,000 because this pandemic has not worked its way through. Companies and industries across the globe really do not know. I mean, there's some very bad news coming out of the States from Boeing, for instance. Airbus are extremely hemorrhaging cash and very worried indeed. These are huge manufacturers here. Already we've seen vast increases in unemployment in all industrial countries. It's too soon to call. And you'd be a very brave man if you were going to sink all your life savings into a stock market, wherever it was at this moment.
Yeah, and Nikos Louveros is commenting and saying cheap flights to nowhere fast.
Yes, exactly.
So that's
Nico.
a good one.
That is a good one. That's exactly right. Oh, do you want that conundrum now?
Yeah. One news more from Bold Jew, just to get this in, and he confirmed the number of 445 COVID-related hospital deaths since yesterday in the UK.
Oh dear, that's terrible, isn't it? But the rate of death rate has slowed down. That's a good thing. But of course, the care homes are putting the figures up. It's good to know that care homes are now firmly on the agenda and in people's minds, because the staff, for instance, in care homes have been willfully neglected, quite frankly. It's quite a scandal, actually.
It is. So, over your conundrum. Last thing of the day, guys. Thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much for chatting away. That's great, guys. If you have anything to say, please comment now or send us an email to inbox@StudioKerkyra.com. And if you would like to talk with us live here on the show regarding an issue or something you want to talk about, let us know. We set a call up with you live here via Skype, and you can talk to us live on the show. But what is your conundrum, man?
Oh, well, it's nothing about at all anything we've been talking about. Makes a change, doesn't it? It's a question. Who said this about their child, do you think? Here's the quote. Yes, he's an idiot with zero common sense and no social skills, but he is my son. Any ideas? No? I'll go on.
God.
I just hope he never goes into politics. He'd be a disaster. Who do you think said that, and to whom?
Oh, no, don't. Is this a Johnson's family discussion?
No, good guess. That's a great guess,
You know,
Thomas,
it's
but no, it wasn't. No, it's a Johnson-free quote.
Okay, great.
Do you want another guess?
Trump.
Yeah, I knew you'd get it. It was
seriously
Donald Trump's mother who said it. Yes,
mother.
Mary Ann Trump, who I've mentioned before. We never hear about. We hear about Donald Trump talking about his father, but he never says anything about his mother. Well, maybe now we know the answer to that. She actually said that, and that's all on Twitter.
It's all on Twitter.
It's all on Twitter, and the
so
film
she let it out, and she just.
Oh, that was some time ago. This is many years ago. This is at least more than 20, 30 years ago, to be fair.
So it's a Twitter first, then. It's first Trump who tweets the truth.
Yes, and now it's his mother from 20, 30 years ago saying about he must never go into politics. It's funny, isn't it, how the offspring never listen to their parental words? Hey, how about that? I was shocked as much as you were to hear that.
You know what? No, he's not that. You know, we have a switched on prime minister. You can't say he's not switched on, but maybe a different way. But Trump is a completely different story, man.
Oh well, yes, you could say that. That'd be polite, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
well, we mustn't offend the Trump supporters. We know that we have many of our viewers and followers. So fair play. But that was a quote from his mother that I would like to share with you, which I've just done. Send your complaints in on a postcard, please, to me at inbox@StudioKerkyra.com, and I will deal with them.
Yeah, subject, complaint to 8. But
great,
guys, you know what, thank you so much. It's time again, an hour is gone. I hope you enjoyed it. We spoke about a few things. We had a lovely talk with Xenia today. Was great to see a little bit about them. Fantastic. But if I forgot anything on messages to read out, I'm gonna put this in tomorrow's show and discuss. But thank you for commenting, thank you for taking part in the show. Anything you wanna let us know, inbox@StudioKerkyra. That's our email address. And yes, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. Have a fantastic Wednesday evening, and we're gonna be back tomorrow 6 p.m. So until then, goodbye and Kali Nichter.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, and as always, a very good afternoon to you all.